All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We're going to pick it up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come out of his name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, not the honor that comes from Elohim? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not, how should you believe my words? Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Praise be to Abba and Shamahim and Yahushua. Shalom, sister. Let's go over here to 2 Peter chapter 3, man. We're going to deal with the new heaven and the new earth. I meant to mention this to y'all Saturday afternoon, but it slipped my mind. There is a programming change. Shalom, brother Reynolds. It'll be at 12:30. Come on at 3 o'clock. I ain't gonna be on there. The recording will be obviously, but it won't be live. It'll be at 12. Be on the road. And again, for those of y'all that's in the city, y'all been told where everybody gonna gather at. Don't take in my absence. That you'll be like, well, bump it. I'm gonna just stay to the house, or we all gonna go to a certain person's house and be over there. If you wouldn't do it if I was here, don't do it because I'm not. You know what I'm talking about? And there's a reason why I mentioned that, and I'll probably lean into that a little as we go on this evening. But as I done told y'all before, I ain't gonna be here forever. You know what I'm talking about? And you gentlemen have to have yourselves prepared with the mentality of that you're gonna have to be willing to lead and guide the ship and do certain things that's necessary. You can't just be. It can't be no mindset. Oh, this nigga's dead. Now what we gonna do? You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, you can't. You already have to be prepping and priming and preparing yourself mentally and spiritually to be able to. Yeah, that if I die, nothing stops. You know what I'm talking about? You just have that thought process that you just moving right along like it ain't nothing. Then shoot, junk can fall apart when it comes to when I ain't got that page in my book. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 5 is sufficient. 2 Peter 3 and 5. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of Elohim Shamahim were of old, in the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the Shamahim and the rats, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved under fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and as 1,000 years is one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to us ward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the Shamahim shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with a fervent heat. Earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Then all these things shall be dissolved. What manner ought you to be in Kadash conduct and godliness, looking forward and hasting unto the coming of the day of Elohim, wherein the Shamahim being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new Shamahim and a newer rats, wherein dwell. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent that you may be found of him in shalom, without spot and blameless. So this is what we're gonna do. Shalom, man. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at all three elements of creation. We're gonna look at the creation in Genesis 1. We're gonna look at creation being redone at the coming of the Lord, and then creation being done again with the new heaven and the new earth, and the same pattern and the same frame as the first heaven and the first earth was done. Now, of course, you know, when the new heaven and new earth was done, the first heaven and first earth will not be remembered. Nothing attached to them, nothing that happened in it, nothing will be remembered. Well, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. Let's go to 1 and 1, and let's begin now. Genesis 1 and 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the Shamahim and their rats, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness upon the face of the deep, and the Ruach of Elohim moved upon the waters. So, of course, for some of you know, beginning is Reshith. That is the first, the beginning, the best, and the chief, the choice part, the beginning. So I'm going to try to do this simultaneously, just because we done dealt with this before in the past. I know some of you haven't heard it. So, and that's dealing with the framework of the beginning and at the end, the beginning being recreated. Can any of y'all who have heard this before, can any of you tell me the verse that points to at the end, it is a recreation of the beginning? Can anyone point to the verse from Genesis to Malachi that intimates that to us, that lets us know that even in the end, he will complete what was done in the beginning? Hey, Joanne. Does any of you remember what verse that is? That allows us to know that. Anyone? No one? Someone? Very well. Zechariah chapter 14. 14 and you can make it 1. We looked at it, said that the earth was with form. When we're looking at form, that is tohu, tau, hey, u, if you will. It's formlessness, it's confusion, it's unreality, it's emptiness, it's formlessness. It is that which is empty or unreal of idols, a wasteland, a place of chaos. So when we're looking at this here, just having some understanding, you're looking at a formless place of chaos. Oh, no, I'm talking about not in that regard. I see why you answered it in that way. I might have not framed that properly. I should have stated what's bearing witness to the coming of the Lord. Pointing to the beginning. So that's my fault, because that's definitely right. I didn't frame that question properly. So I want you to come over here to Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. I just want you to look at what he said was going on under the same heaven and earth that we're under right now that was destroyed. You know what I'm talking about? So what we're trying, and it still holds Zechariah 14. So when we look at it, right, the first earth, when the earth was created, of course, it's showing us that he's telling us the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. So in the beginning, he's telling us what's going on at the end. Since we have been talking about the two witnesses, of course, we know that the beast was and ruled to the world's chaos, and it had no form. See, we could go and you and say you don't have to be conformed to the image of his son. Of course, you know, in Matthew 24, he said, because iniquity abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Since so many people will be perverting the righteousness of Elohim, the love of Elohim will not be in the earth. So the earth will be without chaos and form. It'll be the same thing that happened when he destroyed the earth the first time, as we're about to see right here in Genesis chapter 4. I'll pick it up at verse 1. We'll take a look at, stop yelling at your mama. We're going to pick up Isaiah 48 also. We're holding Zechariah 14 and also with 2 Peter chapter 3. So again, right, we're correlating that at the coming of the Lord, he will recreate creation. He will recreate what happened in Genesis chapter 1 at his coming. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since we had that conversation. And then we're going to go into how he's going to follow up with the new heaven and new earth and the same framework. Now, the reason why we're looking at this here because we just talked about the two witnesses and everything that went along with that. You know what I'm talking about? And we're dealing with the promises. For those, of course, the title is 2 Peter 3 and 12, if I'm not mistaken on the verse. So you have to ask yourself, what are you looking for? See, a lot of brothers, they're looking for the things that go under this heaven and new earth. They're not looking for a new heaven and new earth where dwell righteousness, because Elohim himself will be there. There'll be no death, there'll be no sin. Any of the things that we've been dealing with under this heaven and this earth will not be present. Remember what he told you in Isaiah 45, and we'll probably go and read it on general principle. He said he made the earth to be inhabited. Well, the new earth that will be inhabited will not be as the present one. You know, we've already dealt with that in Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Nothing will be remembered that happened under this heaven and this earth. He's making everything new. All things will be passing away. You're not going to remember anything that goes along with this. You have to ask yourself this here. Why would we want to remember and talk about a place where unrighteousness and sin dwell? Do you know what I'm saying? Why would we want to discuss that? Why would that even be important to us? If we say that we are children of the promise and born of the word, why would we even care? You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of us care because we still tied to this flesh and we still tied to this world and everything that go along with it. So the things that go along with the promises of Elohim and actually being with him and dwelling with him and the things that pertain to righteousness, we're not concerned with that. It doesn't move us. But you know, why doesn't it move us? Because nobody's really pushing that in our mind that this is something that our heart should be hoping at, that our heart should be desiring, and that our ruach should be yearning for. You know what I'm talking about? We get fed dope, and when you get served a lot of bad dope, you get caught up on a lot of bad things. You develop bad habits. You know what I'm saying? And you develop bad thought habits. So the promises of Elohim seem like spiritual stretching and reaching and things of this nature. And these are the things that this man has promised to those that love it. You understand? So Genesis 6 and 1. It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. They took them wives of which they chose. Yahuwah said, my ruach shall not always strive with man, for he that is also flesh, his day shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, they bare to them the same mighty men, which of old, men of renown. Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at what the Lord stated in this regard about what was going on and let's see if we're going to see that going on now. And when I say now, I ain't talking about just in this time frame that we live in, but also in the future. Now, you know, wickedness is Ra. That is someone who is bad, evil, disagreeable, and malignant. Of course, you know, imagination of the thoughts is thoughts is, of course, you know, which is Makashabah, which is your devices, your plans, and your purposes. So the plots, plans, and purposes, remember the verse that say the thoughts of sin, evil thoughts and sin is something along their minds, man. I'm misquoting it. And a lot of people think, well, if you think evil thoughts, you sin it. No, see, the thoughts come in when you sit back and you plan that out. That's why the Lord told you that, you know, it's what's in a man that defile him versus what go into him. Because what come out of the heart. So you have to pay attention to, you know, of course, Paul wrote you in 2 Corinthians 10 and 4, you know, to cast those thoughts down and bring them into the captivity of Mashiach. See, the issue is not that you have a thought that is contrary to the Ruach. The issue is, do you lean into it? Because once you give a lot of energy into it and you begin to ponder upon it, then you're going to begin to plot on it, then you're going to begin to plan on it. God forbid if you begin to speak it, because once you begin to speak it, you're going to go to do it. And then at that point, you've already defiled yourself before you've actually completed the deed, because you had already intimated and planted that out in your heart. This is why one of the things that is an abomination to him is a thought that divides, a heart that divides wicked imaginations. You know what I'm saying? You like to plan evil purposes and devices. You're abominable in the eyesight of Elohim. This is what makes the beast so abominable. This is what makes the people who will take the mark of the beast abominable, because they would have had to forsook the Kadash covenant for the desires of their belly. So they would have had to be able to do that. You already had to be wickedly planning on doing that to begin with. See, don't let none of these brews and Christians out here fool you and think people just gonna take the mark of the beast all haphazardly, when the text tells you that he'll be teaching those who forsake the Kadash covenant. Most of the people of the earth are not even in covenant with you. So anybody that forsake the Kadash covenant, they would have had to know the word, just like Esau knew it when he despised his birthright. Don't let none of these people tell you that Esau ain't know no word, because he did. He would have had to know what it was to despise the birthright to begin with. He would have had to have been instructed about that. He despised the word of Yahuwah. He would rather have a pot of beans than the word. So don't think that during that time, even now, don't think that people ain't walking around here and they don't despise the word. I've been telling y'all this for 10 years, man. I don't care nothing about because the nigga got a Bible in his hand. I don't care nothing. That man told you in Psalms 50, man, who are you to take my covenant in your mouth, seeing you cast my words behind your back? So you can't be paying attention to none of that. You have to actually see is an individual bearing forth the fruit of the word. Well, to bear forth the fruit of the word is because the seed had to fall in your heart and die in order for you to manifest that, meaning you had to die your own desires and your own will, in your own flesh, in your own mind, in order for those fruits to be manifest. That's the only way that's going to happen. You know, we like to talk about fruits of the spirit, and nobody tell you how you just can't see. Because the seed has life in it. I just heard a brother talking about this, the same thing I done told y'all before. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a simple-minded individual to think a woman gave you life when the woman's womb don't have life in it. Her eggs are not alive. Your seed is alive, son. And the reason why that's important is not to denigrate the woman, because the seed is the word of Elohim. That's what the book say. And the words that I speak unto you are ruach and they are life. That's what the book say. So the life is in the seed, because the life is in the word. That's what you're supposed to be peeping from, the seed that rests in your genitalia, in your testicles. It's supposed to be manifest of the same thing as the word, because the life is in the seed. See, the ground is of no effect without a seed being put in it. The ground doesn't produce fruit of its own. A seed has to be put into it. A woman does not produce life on her own. A seed must be put into it. A man cannot produce the ruach of life on his own. The seed must be put in it. The word got to be in you for that to happen. If the word is not in you, then you cannot produce the fruit. Don't let these niggas lie to you, man. These people lying to us, man, and we loving every minute of it. And I'm not saying that to denigrate nobody. I'm telling you, stop letting people lie to you, deceiving you into things that are not true. That's going to cost you your eternal soul. You know what I'm talking about? Like I told you, you young men, y'all ain't as young as you was no more. So the time coming that y'all going to have to be real focused on, is you going to be willing to do the work necessary upon my decease, upon the time that I may not be physically able to continue. Because see, I got way more days behind me than in front of me. You know, it's funny, I seen a video the other day, which is accurate. I'm already, people want to say middle age is 50. It's not. Most people don't even live to be 100 years old. You really hit middle age between 30 and 35. Especially for black men, most of us die between 60 and 70. You know what I'm talking about? See, when you know, when you accepted the reality that your day is coming, you move with a different type of urgency in the effort to get as much done as you possibly can before you expire. So when you look at the Lord, of course, he had a specific amount of time. And he went about to do as much as possible before he expired, because he knew that this was going to be done. But he also knew that I need this amount of time to prepare these men to keep things going. There has to be a preparation. So mind has to be set for that. See, most of our minds ain't set for that because we worry about the wrong thing. So the people are not getting what they need in order to save their soul. You know what I'm talking about? See, I akin men with bad word. This thing done froze. I akin men with bad word to a man who shouldn't reproduce. See, just because you're alive don't mean that your genetics should be duplicated. You know what I'm talking about? See, individuals with bad work, that's going to lead to bad genetics. You know what I'm saying? You're going to pass off defects. And I ain't talking about birth defects. I'm talking about deficiencies of character and deficiencies of thought and deficiencies of intelligence. This is why he say, with the parable of the sower, about the enemy sold these tares. These are the children of the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And the son of Adam sowed these. So we have to pay attention to that. This is not no game. It's not a game. You know what I'm saying? It's not a game. Our lives on the line, man. It's a real serious matter. And when we look in the world right now, it's a lot of chaos in the world, but it ain't even as chaotic as it's going to be. It's a lot of wickedness in the world, but it's not as wicked as it's going to be. Right now about, Balenciaga doing this, and they're saying that you're going to protest Balenciaga. Some of y'all been, because you can't afford to buy them people products. So ain't nothing for you to protest. And why, I don't even know why you shocked that these people will be promoting child pornography and pedophilia. I just seen the Florida Gators quarterback just got arrested for getting caught with child porn, sharing it on some type of Discord. 19-year-old boy looking at child porn. Like, this is stuff you got to look at. Like, I ain't up and on about Balenciaga because I don't wear that junk, man. I can afford that junk. And most of that junk ugly. You know what I'm talking about? But it's always funny to me because you feel like, because rappers buy this high-end stuff, and then you want to go buy it, like black people are fueling these people companies and this, that, and the third. You're utterly insane if you think black people keeping them people afloat. They clothes are for affluent people. You know what I'm talking about? They don't have nothing to do with, because the people that you watch who pretend to be affluent are marketing that in your face. You think when they made that company, they had rappers in mind? So you already know that's a den of wickedness. So you shouldn't even be shocked when the wicked do what it is that the wicked do. Don't you know the book say wickedness proceed from the wicked? That's what the book say. So why you even shocked by that? See, we only shocked by it because you don't think these people wicked. You think that they have some type of status in this society and they have some money that they're not wicked. Wickedness proceed from the wicked. Wicked people are going to do what wicked people do. So there should be no shock. Now, you have a right to have a righteous indignation for their degeneracy, by all means. You know what I'm saying? I'm just finding it funny that dude saying protest Balenciaga. Everyday people ain't wearing no Balenciaga, man. I don't care what race they is. Most of y'all ain't never seen, because that's not even what they known for. These people make ready-to-wear clothing, meaning they make suits and god-awful shirts and dresses and things of that nature. Every person you know is not buying that. Genesis chapter 6. I was done on that. My bad. My fault, y'all. Of course, imagination. I didn't get y'all that right. That's yes, sir. And that's imagination or device or intellectual framework, framing a purpose. So you're framing plots, plans, and devices that are wicked. That's what you're plotting on. You're plotting on doing it. And of course, continually is young, the thoughts of you, and this is what you do every day. And then it said it repented Yahuwah that he even made man. He was sorry. He was having compassion. He wanted some consolation and comfort because he knew that he was going to have to take you out. See, a lot of people look at this and say, God was upset. He made man. Look at him. He repented. Of course, when you look at grief, it's a sob, it pained him, it vexed him, it caused him pain. See, what we don't understand why it caused him pain is because he was going to have to kill everybody. Remember what he said in Ezekiel 18, he have no pleasure in the death of him that died, but turn yourselves and live. But see, people hate Yahuwah, so they want to come up with a way to mock him and disrespect him. But it pained him because he was going to have to kill him. See, a lot of people don't understand that aspect of Yahuwah. He don't want to kill people, but he will. You know what I'm saying? See, some people like, God done killed more people than the devil. Well, he's killing people because they fucking him. They going against him. There has to be a consequence, and that consequence is death. You can't get upset because you don't like the consequence. You know what I'm talking about? See, a lot of people don't like the consequence. But it pained him because he knew he was going to have to destroy these people. He had no desire to do that. He don't have a desire to do it in the end. But people will utterly refuse to repent. See, unfortunately for most people that do believe that you should have a long rope to sin against this man and that he should just be happy and take it. I just seen a lady share a video, right? And in the video, it's talking about, oh, my wife won't submit to me. And they say, well, why? It's as if he's talking to the Lord. And it said, because you won't submit to her. A man can't submit to his wife. Those two things don't work. See, the reference that he tried to use was in Ephesians when he said, love your wives as Mashiach loved his. Him dying for his wife is not a form of submission, because him dying for his wife was not yielding to the will and wants of his wife, because his wife didn't have a will and want to be saved. She didn't have a will and want to have her sins remitted. She didn't have a will and want to obey. That was the will of his father. That's who he submitted to. He didn't submit to Yasharal. That's not what he did. You know what I'm saying? That's not what he did. Those two things don't even go together, because that's a free gift that we didn't earn. There's nothing that we did to deserve that. So that's not submission. See, submission would have been if you would have said, please, Yahuwah, die for us. And then he decided to do it. No, that's not what happened. It say Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that we should have life and not perish. That's what he said. And that's asinine. You know what I'm saying? Because when we say that, you saying that Mashiach, I'm just telling you the underlying thing, what they were trying to say. The Lord didn't submit to us. The Lord gave us shalom, man. The Lord gave us a free gift that we did not deserve. You should cherish it and you should appreciate it. You know what I'm talking about? You should understand what he's done. We talked about it last week, just looking at the sufferings that man went through on a medical science level of being crucified. You think he did that to submit to the will of a rebellious woman? Don't you know the book say by means of a whorish woman is a man brought to a piece of bread? You think that's talking about a regular woman? Huh? You think that proverb talking about a regular woman? Now, of course, in reality, a natural man, he could be bankrupted by a whorish woman. Definitely. But he would play a role in his own bankruptcy for being a dummy. You know what I'm talking about? By feeding and giving someone who wasn't worthy of what he had to give. That would be his fault. Y'all familiar with that proverb? Let me read it to you. Because I think people really think that's talking about, you think that's talking about you? Oh, no, that ain't talking about you, baby. That ain't talking about you at all. Look at that proverb chapter 6, man. No. Verse 26, that's what it is. He said, for by means of a whorish woman to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Now, see, that man is brought to, that's added. You know what I'm talking about? But y'all know Mashiach sat down with his apostles, and he said, here, take, eat, this is my body. One piece of bread. And why is that the case? How do we know that this is a whorish woman? You go read Ezekiel 16 and read it for yourself. Shalom, Brother Alice. You go read Ezekiel 16 and he'll tell you, you contrary from all whores. He said, you give gifts to all your lovers and get nothing in return. You know what I'm talking about? And the adulterers will hunt for the precious life. Because we already know we was an adulterous woman. We hunted for that man's life. So by means of this whorish woman, would this man kill? That man didn't submit to you. You weren't nothing to submit to. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just telling you for you to get an understanding, because you can't be asking men out here to submit to their wives and then use that passage as a means, because you can't have two co-pilots. When you got two people submitting to each other, whose will are they following? Because that's what that means to submit. It means to yield to one who is superior to you. So that means you're yielding to a superior vision and plan. You both can't submit to each other's plans. How does that work? That doesn't even work. It sounds good on the internet. It sounds good on a TikTok video. It sounds good on the reel, but that don't work in real life. It don't work in real life. When this man tell you that you should be joined to your wife and you should be one flesh, and he that's joined to the Lord is one ruach, it's supposed to be one mind working to one goal, not two minds working to two goals. That's going to cause a schism. When you have a schism, the devil going to enter in. You know what I'm saying? And that's just as simple as that. Everybody got to be on board with the same plan, or the devil going to come in and cause chaos. And that's what you're seeing happen in Genesis 6. That's what you see happening in the world right now. That's what's going to happen in Matthew 24. That's what's going to happen in the time of the end. Because everybody going to have their own mind, seeking their own will, and make it easy for the devil to divide. See, the devil can't divide everybody who on the same plan. That's why it won't be nothing for him to get people who already don't serve you. Because they already can remember, he say the seed by the wayside, he just take away what was already sown in their heart. But see, when you get the people who in the word but don't believe the word, see, that's a split. There's a schism there. Because you ain't really all in. And see, he can slide in there and work his chaos. See, you ain't supposed to be ignorant of Satan's devices. But see, we move around here like dummies. You know what I'm talking about? And you end up playing yourself. Because the man is after souls out here, man. It's not a game. You know what I'm saying? We can out here skin and grin all we want to, but it ain't no game. We good in Genesis 6, man. Come over here to Isaiah 48. We'll say that came to his mind off that initial question. Let me see what he all the way to about verse 7, verse 5, Isaiah 48 and 5. I give you one, though. Hear you this, O house of Jacob, which you call by the name of Yasharal, which you come forth out of the waters of Yehuda, which swear by the name of Yahuwah and make mention of the Elohim of Yasharal, not in truth, nor in righteousness. For they call themselves the Kadah city and stay themselves upon the Elohim of Yasharal, who of hosts, his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning. They went out forth out of my mouth. I showed them. I did suddenly, and they came to pass. Because I knew that you obstinate, and your neck as iron sinew, and your brow brass. So he letting you know, I tell you things before they happen, because I know you're hard-headed, you don't listen. This is what the Lord said now. He said, I tell you stuff before it happened, because I know you're hard-headed and you don't listen. I have even from the beginning declared to you before it came to pass, I showed you, lest you should say, my idol have done them, my graven image, my molten image have commanded them. See, that's part of the reason why the beast will come through and try to deceive you, because of his understanding of dark sentences. Because he know that Yahuwah going to tell you stuff before it happens. So that when it happens, you'll know that Yahuwah did it. You got to pay attention to that. Don't be no fool. You have heard and see all, have you heard and see all this? And will you not you declare, I have showed you new things from this time, even hidden things, and you did not know them. They are created now and not from the beginning, even before the day when you heard them not, lest you should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, you heard not, yea, from that time your ear was not open, for I knew you would deal very treacherously and was called a transgressor from the womb. See, now this is a reason for that, of what he just stated, right? He said they are created now and not from the beginning, even before the day when you heard them not, lest you should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, you heard not. Yea, you knew not. Yea, from that time your ear was not opened, for I knew you would deal very treacherously and was called a transgressor from the womb. That verse 7 and 8 could be pointing to. Now, why do y'all think he's making this statement in verses 7 and 8? You share your thoughts. Why y'all think he's making this statement in verses 7 and 8? I give y'all a couple seconds, Clubhouse and YouTube. Any of y'all got any idea why he's making this statement? You got an idea? I'm talking to all y'all, even little Michael.
In regards to
Now, verse 7 and 8, I read it again. They are created now and not from the beginning, even before the day when you heard them not, lest you should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, you heard not. Yea, though you knew not. Yea, from that time your ear was not open, for I knew that you would deal very treacherously and was called a transgressor from the womb.
talking about the people that set up.
No, not necessarily, but I would see why you would say that. Also, verse 6 say, you have heard, you see all this, will you not declare? I've showed you new things from this time, even hidden things, and you did not know them. Anybody on YouTube got anything? Anybody on Clubhouse got anything before I share? Anyone? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Come over here to Galatians chapter 3 to bear witness against them. No, not on that one. Come over here to Galatians 3, right? Matter of fact, it's funny that we're looking at this Galatians 3 because I just heard somebody try to explain this Galatians 3 the other day, and it was absolutely, positively one of the most horrible things I had ever heard. But that's neither here nor there. Galatians 3 and 19. Wherefore then the law? It was added because of transgressions, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made, ordained in Malachim by the hand of a mediator. Mediator is not of one, but Elohim is one. The law against the promises of Elohim, Elohim forbid. You say in Jeremiah, for there have been a law given which had given life. Truly righteousness should have been by the law. But the scripture has concluded all understand that the promise of faith of Yahushua HaMashiach might be given to them that believe. But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up into the faith which should afterwards be revealed. What we just read in Isaiah, right? He said, I ain't never told you there's none of this stuff. He said it, unless you would have said you would have known it. He said, if you would have knew it, you would have dealt treacherously. Come back to Isaiah 48. I'm going to read that one more time. Also, remember what we just looked at in Galatians 3 not too long ago, and I feel like I still did not read the verse that I wanted. Hold on, because I really believe I just feel I did not read what I wanted. Hold on, y'all. I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, I see what you're talking about. No, that's not the angle we're going, but I see why you would say that. Boopa. I feel like I just looked right past the verse that I wanted. One more time. 4086, right? You have heard, you see all this. Will you not declare? I have showed you new things from this time, even hidden things, and you did not know them. They are created now and not from the beginning. So what he's saying is created now, not from the beginning, even for before the day when you heard them not, lest you should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, you heard not, yea, you know not, yea, from that time your ear was not open. For I knew that you would deal very treacherously, and you was called a transgressor from the womb. Now come back over here to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, verse 22. And Yahuwah Elohim said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil, unless he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, eat and live forever. Therefore, Yahuwah Elohim sent him from the garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man and placed at the east of the garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So he said, remember, he said, you didn't notice, he said, your ear wasn't open. Now, you know what I'm saying? This is what a dude tried to misconstrue and misuse. I literally was talking to some gentlemen. They literally said that Mashiach sent out apostles to teach the people that they were Israelites. And then he tried to read this Romans 10. And I say, boy, you can't do that because that don't even say what you're saying. And it is that, Darius. Because you got to understand, it wasn't. Let me show you. Matter of fact, before I read it, Romans 10, go to 1 Corinthians 15 so you can see that which was done wasn't done at the beginning. It was showed to you later. Let's look and see 1 Corinthians 15 and 37. Oh, I ain't got that page in the book. First Corinthians 15 and 36. 35 is fine. But some will say, how are the dead raised up, and what body do they come? Fool, that which you sow is not quickened except it die. That which you sow not the body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or some other. But Elohim give it a body as it pleased him, to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh. But one flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, another of birds. Also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the esteem of celestial one, and of the terrestrial another. One esteem of the sun, another esteem of the moon, another esteem of stars, for star differ from star in esteem. So also the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. Because see, you was a transgressor from the womb, so I didn't tell you. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in esteem. It is sown in weaknesses and raised in power. How do we know this? Because he say, put him out, lest he take and live forever. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first Adam made a living soul. The last Adam, quickening ruach. Albeit that not first, which is spiritual. Remember, he said, I didn't do it from the beginning, right? So he didn't give you that which was spiritual at the beginning. He gave you that which is natural. But that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man of the earth, earthy. The second man, the Lord from Shamahim. As the earthy, such they that are also that are earthy. As the Shamahim, such they also that are Shamahim. And we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Does that make sense? Do you understand? So come over here to Romans 10. And it's funny to me how dudes will try to grab stuff and try to make it be like we're supposed to be teaching each other that we Israelites. That man didn't teach them that in Luke chapter 24. The man said he expounded unto them the things written in Moses and in the prophets concerning himself. This is what was written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. The faith was shut up unto you. Now it's revealed. Your ear wasn't open. Listen what this man say, man. 10 and 6. 10 and 5, Romans, man. 10 and 4. For Mashiach is the purpose of the law, for righteousness of everyone that believes. For Moses described the righteousness which is the law, that the man which do those things shall live by them. But the righteousness which is of faith speak on this wise, say not in your heart, who shall ascend into Shamahim, that is to bring a Mashiach down, who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up a Mashiach from the dead. But what say it? The word is near you, in your mouth, in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. If you shall confess with your mouth the Lord Yahushua, and shall believe in your heart that Elohim have raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. For with the heart man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Let me tell you how stupid that is to tell people that believe in the Israelite is a confession of faith. Boy, if you being an Israelite is not a promise, boy. That's not a promise from God, boy. You got to be a special type of stupid to believe that and to tell others. You causing people to hope in a lie. Because you can be born a Yasharal and still not be a Yasharal because you ain't born of the promise, boy. You ain't born of the word. Stop lying to people. That junk is sickening. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's a disgrace and abomination before God. Stop it. Stop telling people that, man. Stop telling people Yahuwah sent people to tell people the Israelites. You lying. Man, I'm telling you, man, I literally had to say, come on, bro, don't do that. That ain't even what it say. It said if you believe he died and rose from the dead, you causing people to hope in a lie. And we just sit around and skin and grin like it's cool, man. That junk ain't cool, man. That junk ain't cool, man. It ain't. That junk sour for real. You know why? Because that means Yahuwah gave you a mind to be that stupid. Boy, you should be scared. That means Yahuwah gave you that mind. And he gave you a mind to make you think that's what he wants you to do. I asked these men, I say, show me where the apostles was going around telling people they were Israelites. I said, boy, they were preaching the Lord to these people, man. You lying people. That's why I don't even pay attention to nobody who, they feel like they got to tell people we the people of the book for people to believe the word. Nigga, that means you don't believe it. Because you believe the word, I don't need to put no extra bait on no stick. You ain't gonna move. If you ain't moved by that word, ain't nothing gonna move. Me telling you an Israelite ain't gonna make you love God, boy. They ain't gonna make you believe the word. You still without form and full of chaos. Why you think peace means to destroy the authority attached to chaos? That's why the wicked ain't got no peace. That's why he had to destroy the world. It was chaos in it. That now you can understand why there'll be a new heaven and a new earth where righteousness dwells. You can't bring the chaos from the old world into the new one. That's why he put Adam out. Yahuwah can't dwell in chaos. That's what these people don't understand that. He can use a sinner. No, he's not. He can't dwell in chaos, son. But his book say his eyes too pure to look upon evil. So if his eyes too pure to look upon evil, you think he gonna live in the evil? Don't you understand when you say that Yahuwah using somebody, the spirit of God on that person? That means the spirit of God is in them. How is Yahuwah going to dwell in a place that's contrary to him? Let me show you what the law say for niggas who don't know no better. Leviticus 26. The bruised Lord of law. Let's just go ahead and look at what the law say. That's true, Dre. That's true. That's true. But see, it's not even the title. Because our people knew they were Israelites when the apostles was preaching. You know what I'm saying? It's more so of a trusted in the flesh. See, a lot of people feel like because they are a particular bloodline, and I'm gonna read you another verse these brother a lot of brood try to use, and that's in Jeremiah 17, and they misuse it every single solitary time because they take heritage and they think that's meaning your bloodline and your nationality, and that's not what that means. But where I'm at, Leviticus 26. Listen to what he said in verse 23. What's she do? Leviticus 26 and 23. If you will not be reformed by me by these things, but will walk contrary for your sins. Look at verse 27. If you would not for all this hearken unto me, but walk contrary unto me, then I will walk contrary unto you, also in fury. Even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins. There's no way. There's no way. If you're walking contrary to him, he must walk contrary to you, or he'll be a liar. See, you know what a lot of things is, what a lot of people is. See, when they hear this, they say, well, where's the grace at? The grace is that you still alive and you got a chance to turn. See, the other fact is that's not even the grace. Let me not even say that. You know what a grace is? That this man died and rose from the dead. That is your grace. You understand that? Meaning that's your mercy. See, we take grace, meaning, see, you know what we done did? More bad teaching. When people say, oh, just like a grace period with paying the ticket, that's the same thing with the Lord. That man ain't saying you had no grace period. That man ain't never told you you had no grace period. You can't read, well, or if you sin, you got this amount of time. That man ain't never said that. He said, if you sin, you got an advocate. That's what he said. But he didn't tell you you had no grace period. There's no grace period for sin. When they caught that woman in adultery, did he tell her she had a grace period? He told her go and sin no more. See, the grace was extended because she didn't get stoned. Just like the book say, because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, it is privily in the hearts of the sons of men to do evil. So you believe because the sentence isn't executed that you got time to say, oh, I'm going to stumble and I'm going to do this. You're not guaranteed that he can give you a mind for you to stay like that. Stop letting these people lie to you. Oh, you just telling people they can't. I ain't telling you nothing. I'm telling you what the man said. Go read it for yourself. That's Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, by the way, because of the sentence against an evil work isn't executed speedily. He said, should we sin because grace abound? He said, Elohim forbid. So that don't mean you got no grace period. You ain't got no, a grace period means you got an X amount of time before he executes judgment. You don't got no X amount of time. He never told you that. The grace was extended when Mashiach shed his blood on that tree and went in that grave and rose from the dead. That was your grace. That means you got an opportunity to be forgiven for your iniquities. Not take a year or two to get out of it. That's not what that means. That's not to say that some people are not going to struggle. That don't mean that some people not, when I say struggle, meaning battling with their flesh and having a difficult time of overcoming, but you would have to understand. See, I've known for a long time, I ain't gonna lie, it don't be at the forefront of my mind, but in the back of my mind, I wake up every day and wonder, is this the day? You understand me? Is this the day that I'm gonna die? All that walking around skinny and grinning, and then I ain't telling you this, oh, because I'm feeling depressed or sad, nigga. This real life, man. Because for as long as I can remember, in the back of my mind, bare minimum, I wonder, is this the day? You understand me? Is this the day? Do you understand? Did it be thoughts in my mind that if I leave here, my child ain't even gonna remember me, man. My child ain't even gonna remember me, man. So when you got that type of thought process, you knowing that, boy, you got to be dead serious about what you own, man. Now, what about the grace? What you mean, nigga? You ain't guaranteed to live tomorrow. Who told you was gonna be here tomorrow to get it right? Who told you that? Nobody told you that. Boy, that's lies from the devil, man. And you can take it for what you want to take it. And you can be mad. You ain't mad with me, you mad with the Lord. That's who you mad with. And I'm not saying this is that as if we not can't understand the struggles of the flesh that some people go through. But what we tell them to do is put it off and crucify it because it's going to kill you. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow to correct that. So why take the chance? You don't know that. Your life is but a paper. You don't know that. For you to say you're going to be here tomorrow is a disrespect to Elohim in heaven. Because now you telling him what it's going to be, and he going to show you by killing you. And he told you that parable of that rich man when he said, okay, I'll build bigger and come back better. He said, nah, you fool, you dying tonight. Let me read that to you, what I'm talking about. Luke chapter 12. I want the Lord to tell it to you. I don't want to tell it to you. Let the Lord tell it to you. He tell it to you better. Luke 12 and 16. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? He said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, you have much goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat and drink, and be merry. But Elohim said unto him, fool, it's not your soul shall be required of you. Then who shall those things be which you have provided? So is he that lay up treasure for himself and is not rich towards Elohim. Uh-oh. You laying up treasure for yourself, but you ain't laying treasure up for God, you're going to have a problem. Because at the end of the day, that ain't just pride, that's flesh. You got to understand that. That man said, I'm going to build better and I'm going to sit back and take ease. And God said, you fool, you dying tonight. You're dying tonight. You walk around here and think you got till tomorrow, or next week, or next month to get it right if you want to. And the Lord going to show you out real quick to be a liar. I ain't telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this for you to consider. I don't know how many of you get up in the morning. Oh, to lay up treasure, lay up that word, man. He say where your heart is, your treasure will be also. So it's when he talking about laying up treasure, it's what you find valuable. Let's get the Greek word treasure in there for you, bro. And that'll make it easy. And we'll come back over here to Zechariah 14. We still got Genesis 1, by the way. So when we got treasure, man, you have a zorizo, to gather, to lay up, to heap, to store up, to accumulate riches, to keep in store, to store up, to reserve, to live from day to day as to increase either the bitterness of happiness of one's consequent, or to heap up treasure, to heap up in store. But basically, what you gather up to keep. Oh, no problem, bro. What you gather up to keep is what you go. See, let's take another look at something, right? I think it's Luke chapter 6. Is it Luke 6? You pulled your own skin off. If not, we go to Matthew. I feel like I'm looking right at it in Luke 6. That was come over here to Matthew 6. I gotta crank it up. 29 minutes max. Matthew 6 and 19. He said, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth, which moth do rust, do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay for yourself where neither moth will be also. Come over here to Luke 12, because that's what it was. It wasn't Luke 6, it was Luke 12. It was ringing in my mind as we were going through that. It's Luke chapter 12, verse 28. And the treasures of Elohim are the treasures that come through faith. Because a thief can't remember what Mashiach said, no man can take any out of his hand. See, the devil or no man on the earth can take treasures you lay up from in heaven. He ain't got that type of power. You know what I'm saying? The things that are of eternity, they're uncorruptible, because Elohim is incorruptible, and the things of Elohim are incorruptible, because Elohim is eternal, and everything that comes from Elohim is eternal. So when you lay up that which is eternal, you'll reap which is eternal. See, when you're seeking after worldly riches, you're gonna reap that. You know what I'm talking about? And I ain't looking, man, we all know everybody want to make their money. That's all well and good. You know, I done told you that for years. At the same token, you better understand it's a tool and keep things into consideration. It's debt notes. It's worthless. It's invaluable. You know what I'm talking about? And if somebody got a lot, don't mean they in sin. But it's better to have a little with faith than to have a lot with none. Understand what he told you in James. They say, you know, those that are rich in faith. Because see, when you got Yahuwah, you ain't never poor. I done told you that before. See, we juxtapose things because we looking for the extras in life. When all this man done promised you the food, clothing, and shelter for the most part. That's all he promised you. And that's from day to day. You know what I'm talking about? See, we didn't read that in Matthew 6. He said, don't take no thought for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the evil is sufficient thereof. He didn't promise you. He said, give us this day our daily bread. He just told you to think from day to day. Not month to month, not week to week, not year to year. He told you to think from day to day, because that's all you got is the day that you in. It's not a thing that they thought they was gonna die, but to sit back, shalom, man. I'm already knowing. Ain't saying that or anything, but when you in your 20s, man, actually thinking you gonna see 42, see 45, that ain't a tangible thought in your mind because it's so far away. You know what I'm talking about? You 16, 17 years old, thinking, oh, one day you're gonna be 33, 34. It's not a tangible thought in your mind, it's so far away. Till one day you wake up and 20 years done went by. But see, the way that your life gonna go is how you treat the day that you in. It'll help. It can help dictate your future if the Lord allows for you to have one. Like I say, man, I got a lot of peers for a multitude of reasons, boy, they not here no more. You know what I'm talking about? They either been cremated or they in the earth. And just because I'm telling you that people that passed away don't mean they were murdered. Because you know, with our people, we think when somebody talking about their peers dead, we like to go to murder. Everybody ain't been murdered. Some people died in a car accident. Some people had health issues. Man, I had a homeboy die of a heart attack. This man wasn't even 45. He was just a tad over 40. If that. A heart attack, man. It's a good brother I know in the word, man. That man had a stroke. That man ain't but 40 some odd years old. And you know what he got a stroke from? Stress. And you know who stressed him? His family. Man, look at man. It's my homeboy mama birthday the other day. Man, I told you about this, man. She died from a stroke while niggas was in the house, man. You know what I'm saying? Niggas had to see that. Niggas had to see that, man. That woman been gone for 24 years. You understand me? You understand how long that is? Niggas been without their mama for 24 years, man. Nigga, we was it. Man, it ain't even seen that long. Boy, my daddy been dead for 5. You know what I'm talking about? And those 5 went like that. And he was ready to go. That man was 66 years old. You understand me? Like I say, man, you don't know when you're going to leave here. You can't be walking out here like you know leave here. You can't be walking out here like you know you're going to be here. Because the Lord will show you real quick and make you look real stupid when you're gasping for your last breath. You don't know. You can't be walking around. You know how and the book tell you that. That's an evil mind for you to be walking around here like you know you're going to be here. So you know the mind of God, huh? You know the will of God, huh? Out of all the things that God would show you, that's all you know? That's all he showed you? Come on, man. Luke chapter 12, man. Verse 28 is fine. If then Elohim so clothe the grass which today in the field and tomorrow is cast in the oven, how much more, O you a little faith? Seek not what you shall eat or what you shall drink, neither be you of a doubtful mind. All these things do the nations of the world seek after. Your Abba know that you have need of these things. Or rather seek you the Malkuth for Elohim, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fail not, when no thief approach, neither moth corrupt. See, listen to what he said. When he tell you provide bags, I was in Matthew 6. This is Luke 12. So, you understand me? This is something that you get from these bags that come from heaven, man. That man say, can't nobody treasures in heaven that don't fail. Let me tell you something. The dollar bill gonna fail. The yen gonna fail. The rubles, the euro, pesos, they gonna fail.
That man told you in Proverbs chapter 8, he got durable riches. You understand me? They don't fail. You ain't got to worry about that. There's a lot of things you can be worried about. You ain't got to worry about that. Man. He say, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let me read you that other verse in Matthew 6, man. I told you what he talking about. Just worry about today. After that, I go to James. Matthew 6 and 33. After that, James chapter 2, I believe. But seek you first the Malkuth for Elohim and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Take thereof no thought for the morrow. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day, the evil thereof. He said tomorrow gonna take care of itself, so you don't need to be worried about it. I know theoretically, you say, you got to plan for this and plan for that. But at the end of the day, tomorrow going to take care of tomorrow. And it's going to have a sufficient unto the day, the evil thereof. All you need to do is worry about the day you in, and that's it. And that's why you don't have no grace period. Because if you think about sin today, thinking you got till tomorrow to get it right, well, you're going to find yourself burning in hell. You're going to find yourself burning in hell. Because you got the wrong thought process to think, well, if I sin today, I can get it right tomorrow. He told you don't think about tomorrow. So that means you don't even know if you're going to have tomorrow. And the reason why it's dangerous because that's a bad way of thinking. See, so many people get caught up on you think you coming for them personally when we trying to tell you that the way that you thinking is not good. It's not conducive to eternal salvation. You're not going to get what you say you're looking for if you're thinking like this. Come over here to James. And after that, Zechariah 14. Boo, calm down, boo. Oh, it's James 4. My bad, y'all. James 4 and 11. Because what that is, that's false confidence. That's false faith. That's what that is. That's faith in yourself. That ain't faith in you, booper. Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speak evil of brother, judges brother, speak evil of the law. And judge the law. And if you judge the law and you're not a doer of the law, but a judge, there's one lawgiver who is able to save and destroy. Who are you to judge another? Go to now, you that say today or tomorrow, you will go into such and such city and continue there a year, buy and sell and get gain. Whereas you know not what be on the morrow. What shall be on the morrow? For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appear for a little time, then vanish away. For that you too say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. But now you rejoice in your boastings. All such rejoicing is evil. Therefore, to him that know to do good and do it not, to him it is sin. That man say, man, you boasting, boy, that's evil what you're doing. And I'm only mentioning that because what do we read in Genesis? It said the thoughts of man's heart was continually wicked. And that's what we're going to see here at the end. Man boasting in his evil rejoicings. Let me show y'all where that comes from in James, by the way. That's Proverbs 27:1 for those who don't know. Because that comes from a proverb. James just didn't come up with that on his own. He pulled that from the script. Proverbs 27:1. Boast not yourself of tomorrow, for you know not what a day may bring forth. See, everybody done got up one morning and you thought the day was going to go like this and your car broke down. You know what I'm talking about? You got in an accident. Maybe you got hurt. Praise Yahuwah, Mother Sharona. Praise Yahuwah. Mother Sharona says she is so happy God delivered her from the doctrines of men. Yes, Hebrewism is not the gospel. Let all esteem be to Abba and Shamahi. Praise be to you. You know what I'm talking about? So you have to sit back and understand that, like, you don't know. All us done got up, man. Look at, man, the day I sliced my hand open, you thought I woke up today and say, you know what? I'm gonna cut my hand open on some wire mesh while I'm dipping in the shower today. You know what I'm talking about? Shoot, I was on the phone with a couple of hours ago, boy. Dude hit the corner, smashed a nigga car. That could have easily been me. All I had to do was pull out that he would have hit me before he hit the floor. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no telling what could have happened after that. Some of y'all done seen some car accidents that didn't look that bad and people died. You done seen cars that looked like they were mangled and there was no way anybody survived and people walked away from that with no injuries. You have no idea what's going to happen. And if you thinking in your mind, oh man, it ain't that big of a deal, you ought to go to hell. Because you still don't understand how evil your heart is. You know what I'm talking about? That you actually boasting against God. It's not good. It's not good. Come over here to Zechariah 14. Joanne, you ain't behaving over there. You being a baby, not being my baby. Zechariah 14 and 4. Praise be to Yahuwah. You know, all this, and we just getting back to what we started with, but you know, praise be to Elohim. Because that's all Yahuwah right there, man. Just for us to get a level of understanding. And again, remember, Saturday afternoon, 12:30 start time. You know what I'm saying? Y'all willing after that? We'll pull up to the Chosen Seed. That's the name of their YouTube channel. Whether we put some work on the street, Yahuwah knows. But y'all not going to be bucked or forsaken if the Lord allow. So, by day 12:30. Yeah, Zechariah 14 and 4. Oh, I meant to read y'all Jeremiah 17 and 4. Hold on. Come back over here. Come over here to Jeremiah 17. I'll pick it up at verse 1. Jeremiah 17 and 1. I forgot who I was telling it to the other day, man. Oh, just faith, man. You know what I'm saying? The thing, you know, faith, wisdom, understanding. You know what I'm saying? The long suffering, the goodness, the judgment, the love of Elohim, the joy of Elohim. Those things can't be destroyed. That's what you lay up in heaven, man. Them your treasures right there. You know what I'm talking about? You know, when you look at the goodness, the mercy, all of those things are treasure, because those are the things when they tell you that, you know, when they tell you about the fruits of the spirit, against such there is no law, because there's no condemnation to those who live in the Ruach and Yahushua HaMashiach. You won't be condemned for having faith. You're not going to be condemned for having the love of Elohim. You're not going to be condemned for righteousness. You're not going to be condemned for joy. You're not going to be condemned for faith. You're not going to be condemned for long suffering. You're not going to be condemned for patience. You're not going to be condemned for goodness. You're not going to be condemned for mercy. You're not going to be condemned for compassion. There's no law against that, meaning these things have no death, therefore they are incorruptible. So those are the treasures that you lay up in heaven, and they produce everlasting life. You know what I'm talking about? But the things of the flesh, you know, the lust of the flesh, the adulteries, the fornications, the murderers, the backbiting, the lacking of understanding, the covenant breaking, so on and so forth. Those things have a law against it, and those things bring forth death. You know, Paul wrote to us in 1 Timothy chapter 6, man, you know, he told us, you know, those who get riches get pierced through with many sorrows. But there's a reason for that, because I've told you this before. Money don't change people. It just makes you more of what you already were. But what money does do is it opens you up to the things that you lust after. You know what I'm talking about? So it's just like a lot of dudes get married and they think it's going to cure their lust. If you had a lusting problem for a multitude of women, getting married ain't going to change that. If you got a lusting problem for a multitude of men, getting married ain't going to change that. It's not going to change that. See, a lot of people do things and they think that's going to change the things that they desire. It's not going to change that. That desire is still there. So you have to ask yourself, do you desire the things of this life, or do you desire the things of heaven? Which is why we picked 2 Peter 3 and 12, because we're looking for a new heaven and new earth where righteousness dwells. So we're looking for the riches that come. Amen. We're looking for the riches that come through the promise of the word. When he said that he made himself poor that we might be rich. See, this is another thing that I be telling y'all when it comes down to preaching the gospel versus talking about we Israelites and everything else that we like to talk about. You know what I'm talking about? And it's that you can't sell the gospel. You can't esteem in it. There's no benefit that a man can get from preaching the gospel, because the focus is going to be on Yahuwah and the people are going to be drawn to Yahuwah and not man. So you can't market it. You can't make no money off of it. You can't become famous off of it. You can't esteem in it. That's why people don't want it. See, if I tell you, we Israelites, see, I can market to you a multitude of things in order to lace my pockets. Now, see, I want y'all to get this completely clear. Just because brothers and sisters in the word are selling products to Israelites or their preachers, they have a right to come up with a product and sell it. And if Yahuwah increases it, praise be to Yahuwah. And if you don't, praise be to Yahuwah. See, more so, I'm talking about people who preach the word. See, there's no way for them to get any honor or esteem or money out of the people if you preach the gospel. It's downright impossible to do, because you'll be speaking of him who sent you. Remember what the Lord said, he that speak of himself seek of his own esteem. He that seek the esteem of him that son of the same is true, and there's no unrighteousness in him. So there's nothing that they can be able to get. All the esteem and praise don't go to Elohim. So brothers come up with different doctrines and different ways to bring esteem to themselves in order to get the validation, the honor, the praise, and the finances that they seek to get. You know what I'm talking about? I was just listening to a lady. I don't know if it's true. This just was her testimony. She said she was part of Ben Ami congregation, and she was talking about it was in a particular house, and everybody had to live in there, and they had to work for the congregation. And then the money that they made, they took a majority of it, talking about paying for room and board. That's what these women do to women who come over here and they end up being sex trafficked. You end up in a state of indentured servitude or debt to that you can never get out of. These people know that. And if that is true, that's some sour thing that they do. You understand? That's why I say if it's true, she's just one witness. I don't know if that stuff is true or not. I'm not running off left tackle and saying that it is true. That's just her testimony. That's what she claimed she experienced. I won't call her a liar. She may have experienced that. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? We also heard another lady saying, hey, ISUPK make women give up their house so that the brothers can stay in there and these men ain't got no job. I ain't saying she lying, but she's only one witness. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if these people are doing that or not. If that's being done, that's ugly. The reason why I mention those things is, and that's not to castigate them brothers, because those are accusations. I am not stating that that's true. I did not see that with my own eyes. I don't know it's true. Nor was there 2 or 3 witnesses to verify what these individuals were saying against these people. So regardless if you agree with their doctrine or not, it ain't no need to just be running with something because you don't like somebody's doctrine and say these people are doing stuff when you don't have no knowledge that they did it or not. You know what I'm talking about? But I'll say this here, when you preaching the gospel, you won't be able to do that because there's no way that you can preach the gospel and teach these people to give over all their resources to you and give over their homes to you and it be a God and these people go for it. You're not going to be able to do it. Because all this thing going to have to go to Yahuwah. Because the only reason why people be giving resources is to help out those who don't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? And if everybody is at the same station in life, then there's no reason for anybody to be giving nothing up because everybody is not in a position to be like, I have an excess of goods to be able to give so that others who lack can have, because that's just not the reality in the majority of congregations in this country, where you just got a multitude of people who just have an excess of resources. Most people are living day to day, week to week, or month to month. Most of us is not sitting on no 100, 200, 300 bands sitting on 7 figures. That's just not a reality. Niggas saying that, they lying. You know what I'm saying? And see, black people are the only people who claim we the poorest, yet everybody say they got money. So that means either everybody got money or we living above our means or we spending money that we don't have in order to do things that we want to do or to impress other people to make them believe that we have a lifestyle that we don't have. Because we can't be the poorest people and then talking about we all get money in the same breath. Somebody lying. Somebody lying. You know what I'm talking about? But that's another conversation for another day. Jeremiah 17:1. The sin of Yehuda written with a pen of iron, with the point of a diamond, even upon the table of their heart, upon the horns of their altars. Notice that he said that sin is written on the tables of their heart. That's why Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, it's not written on fleshly, it's not written on tables of stone, but fleshly tables of the heart. So that's why he gave you a new heart. While their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the hills, O my mountain in the field, I will give you substance, all your treasure to the spoil, your high places for sin throughout all your borders. And you, even yourself, shall discontinue from your heritage that I give you, and I will cause you to serve your enemies in a land which you know not, for you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. We see heritage, and we think that's talking about your nationality. Y'all know the Hebrew word for heritage. It's nakalah, and that means your portion, your possession, your property, your inheritance. What is your heritage? It's the land. That's why he said you'll serve your enemies in a land that's not yours. It has nothing to do with your nationality. He told you, I will discontinue, I will take you away from your possession, your property, that which I have given you. That's it. Ain't got nothing to do with your nationality. And the word is shamat for discontinue is to release, to drop, to fall, to be thrown down, to desist, to remit. I'm going to take the land from you. Ain't got nothing to do with your nationality. That's bad teaching. It's bad teaching. It's a lot of stuff. I told y'all before, man. Brother be telling you Ezekiel 37. That's the valley of the dry bones. That's the great awakening. Man, that's about the resurrection of the dead. That's bad teaching. That's bad teaching. And what it is it's confirmation bias because you want it to be about this to justify what you teaching. Yeah, we got to wake to our nationality. You ought to slap yourself. You ought to slap yourself for saying it, and you ought to slap yourself for believing it, and you ought to slap yourself for telling it to somebody else. Zechariah 14:4. Joanne. Get her and bring it in. Go ahead, you go. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west. And there'll be a great valley. Half the mountain shall remove towards the north, half of it towards the south. And you shall flee the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, you shall flee like you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, Malachah, Yehuda, and Yahuwah Mount Elohim shall come all the saints with you. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to Yahuwah, not day nor night. But it shall come to pass at evening time, it shall be light. So that's why I asked that initial question. Because in Zechariah 14 is letting us know that he is going to recreate creation at the end. Remember what he tells you continually, what he calls the moon and the sun not to do, y'all. Not to give his light. But he just told you at evening time, it shall be light. Let's look at these words because I got 3 minutes. So when it says shall come to pass in the day, you know that's Yom. Of course, you know light is or. Now, when you got clear, that's your car. So with that one there, that's something that's weighty or precious, rare, precious stones or jewels. So when he tells you that the light will be valuable or precious. He said, and it won't be dark. Dark is kafah. That is to thicken, to condense, to become dense, clouded sky. He said, but it shall be day and in at evening time. Well, let's look at evening. Of course, that is a Reb, and that is night, evening, sunset, night. So at night, and the earth was without form and darkness. And I didn't read verse 1. They told you that all the nations would be gathered to fight. Women would be raped. People would go into captivity. People are going to be killed. The earth will be without form and with darkness. Then he said at evening time, it shall be or. Now, of course, it shall be is, of course, you know, it's a higher. Y'all know that. Higher, to come to pass, to exist. Same thing for but it shall come to pass. So it's in there twice. And of course, light is ore. That's light. The light of a lamp, the light of life. And we know that Yahushua say he is the light of the world. So at evening time, he shall bring light. And we're going to come back, y'all willing, on the Shabbat. Shabbat night, y'all willing, we still at the same time, 8 o'clock. You know what I'm talking about? Just remember that y'all willing Shabbat day is 12:30. If the Lord allow that day, that's 12:30. So, hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I didn't want you to understand. We're going to look at this because we got to bring certain stuff back to remembrance. And of course, for some of you brothers and sisters who ain't never heard it, because I don't even remember what the name of the video is for me to even tell you to go look at it when we did it last time. I had no idea. It's been some years. That's all I can tell you. But in Genesis 1, Mashiach is going to do that at his coming. We really look at it in 4 different ways. You got the original creation in Genesis 1. Yahushua redid the creation story during his crucifixion and resurrection. You know what I'm talking about? And I know we talked about that, about man being made on the 6th day. You can see it in Mashiach's return, and you can see it when the new heaven and new earth is created. You know what I'm talking about? And y'all willing, we're going to look at all 4 of those. I love y'all. Yahuwah willing, man. Shabbat night, man. We're going to make it do what it do and continue on with what we're doing and go from there. So with that being said, y'all willing till that time. Those of y'all on Clubhouse,